thankfully, guys, there's always a team, in this case the Cleveland Browns, that sucks more than you in one aspect, which is there are teams that have currently the longest droughts of not winning a division in the NFL. The four teams are the Browns, the Lions, the Raiders, and the Jets. And I have a problem with this list because I don't think it tells the full story. I think the Raiders' 20-year drought, how do I say this in a nice way? I don't think it's as bad as people would think, nor do I think the Jets' 20-year drought is as bad as people think. I think the Browns is pretty shit, 33 years, which is the most active in the NFL, and right behind them with 29 years without a division title is the Detroit Lions. Now, why do I think the Raiders is a bit overrated, or overblown, excuse me? Well, because in the 3 years prior to their last division title, they lost in the Super Bowl, lost in the divisional round, and lost in the AFC title game. And they won 12, 10, and 11 games in those 3 years, winning the division for 3 consecutive years. Had the Lions given me 3 consecutive divisions from 2000 to 2002, and an NFC title game, and a Super Bowl appearance, no one's talking about the Lions the way they talk about them now. And the only team that's comparable, because you can't even compare the Jets, because in the last 20 years, they've made the playoffs 4 times, and they've been to 2 AFC title games. So you can't even compare the Jets. The only team you can compare to the Lions is the Browns. They haven't won a playoff game in that time. They've only made the playoffs twice, which is fewer than the Detroit Lions in the last 20 years alone. And they haven't won a division over 33 years. They haven't won it since 1989. My parents didn't even have I don't even think my parents were married yet. That's how long it's been since the Browns have won the division. And oh, FYI, they're not winning it any fucking time soon. That's not going to happen. All right? So now that we're on the same page, which drought is the worst? Is it the Lions or is it the Browns? That's my question for everybody this morning.
Well, in totality, it's got to be the Lions. At least
in the last 33 years. That's the sample size we're doing.
Because at least the Browns, and it was with Baker Mayfield, but they still won a playoff game recently. A couple years ago, they went 11-5. They didn't win the division, but
they did.
Yeah, I'll take that. Now it's pretty close. I'm not trying to say the Browns are this prestige
with
organization.
What you say,
no,
because,
they're not.
You know,
I'm not trying to gas up the Browns, but is that a fact? They just won in 2020.
That matters to you.
Yeah, they blew out the fraudulent Steelers.
It doesn't matter if they're fraudulent.
They still blew them out.
I don't care about that.
And they took the Chiefs till the last minute
with an injured Mahomes, but yeah.
Yes, still. And
Chad Henne.
Chad Henne made some plays, but still, they did that. They lost in the divisional round. So recent history favors the Browns, but in totality, with just you talk about the franchise players and things like that. Maybe I'd go Lions, but it's comparing garbage to garbage at that point.
Okay.
So it's
Flannel, who's had it worse in the last 33 years? The Lions?
Well,
the Browns?
Before I answer that, I just have to say one thing. I know you said we were like, now that we're on the same page, I have to throw a little bit of the flag on the whole, the Raiders drought wasn't as bad. Because I get what you're saying about those 3 seasons before, but then in the following 13 seasons, they had one of the worst stretches of NFL football that has ever existed by a single franchise. They were morbid for 13 years, and then they had that season where Derek Carr broke out, got injured at the end, and Connor Cook had to play their playoff game, and then they ended their drought then. But anywho, neither here nor there. I would probably have to go with, I was just looking back at the Browns' record year by year. It has been pretty morbid over the past 33 years. So I would have to say the Browns by a smidge. I know they did win a playoff game with Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb and all of that, and that's all well and good. But they have been a morbid franchise. They have also had seasons of 2 wins. They also had a winless season. And last time
shout out Hugh Jackson.
Absolutely, shout out Hugh Jackson. And the last I checked, I know it's as simple as this: 33 is greater than 29. And I'll tell you what, there is a much bigger chance that the Lions break their streak this year than the Browns do this year. I think there's a very small chance the Browns do it, and a very good chance the Lions do it. So to me, by a smidge, the Browns' streak is worse because the stretch that they've had, it is worse than you think. Look it up.
Yeah, and if you're going off playoff appearances, besides winning a playoff game recently, they haven't made the playoffs since 2002, and they lost in the wild card. The Lions at least have 3 wild card appearances. They lost all 3 of them, but they've been to the playoffs. So I guess I don't know. And I love this comment too. I forgot who exactly said it. Ja Wall says Browns are better by a smidge, but it's like comparing who's the ugliest kid. There's no winner. It's like, yeah, you want 3 playoff appearances compared to 1 over the last 20 years, or you want a playoff win?
This is not a debate on whose franchise has been worse historically, because it's obviously the Lions. That's not the question here. The question is, during their droughts, who's had it worse?
I would say
And
the Browns.
you brought up the playoff win for the Browns. And I think that was, I guess, a fair point. But it has to be the Browns.
Yeah, I think
because
overall
of what they've subjected their fan base to. Not only the whole moving out, moving the team. I mean, you want to go into having how many quarterbacks start in the last 25 years? I believe the number's 36. That's not even funny. They've never had a franchise quarterback, and the one that they gave fully guaranteed money to isn't even playing like one. Like, I know the Lions have sucked for 29 years. It's been bad. But fuck, at least I can sit on my ass and say I watched Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, and Matthew Stafford.
No,
What can the Browns say in the last 29, 30 years? All they can say is Baker Mayfield won us a playoff game, and he's no longer our starting quarterback. And he might lose the job to Kyle Trask out in Tampa Bay. That's how bad they both suck balls. So, to me, comparing the 33-year drought compared to the 29-year drought for the Lions and Browns, it's got to be the Browns. I think they've just been worse. They've subjected their fan base to much worse. The Lions have been to more playoffs in that same amount of period, have won more divisions, or excuse me, not won more divisions, but have gotten to more playoffs. Have they won? No, they haven't. That's fair. I get it. And if you want to use the Baker Mayfield playoff win as your trump card, be my guest. I wouldn't do it, but it is what it is. But to me, I had to watch Braylon Edwards get drafted 3rd overall, and he ended up being a bust because the Browns were one of the worst situations in the NFL. He goes anywhere else, he probably catches 10,000 yards in his career. That's how much of a
100%.
talent he was and how shit the Browns were. Who were their quarterbacks? The white dude out of Oklahoma State, Brandon Weeden.
Brandon Weeden.
Yeah,
Remember Brandon Weeden?
Yeah,
You remember Brady Quinn, Tim Couch, Vinny Testaverde,
Jeez.
Sam Kozar,
Johnny,
Colt McCoy,
Johnny Football.
Black
dear
Campbell.
God.
What was his name? Campbell, the guy. Not Jack Campbell. What was-
Jason.
Jason Campbell.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Deshaun
Shout out
Kaiser.
Toledo. 4-on-9.
But they had Josh McCown out there too.
Josh McCown was out there.
Yeah, it's if you look at
Yeah,
just
Tom Sack.
you look at their quarterbacks, and I know you could check their
Oh, yeah, baby.
they're-
Central Catholic proud.
who led their team in touchdowns, whatever, the quarterback every single year. Besides the last handful of years, Brissett, Mayfield, for years, it's pretty much a
Yeah,
new
but you
quarterback
also compare
every
like
year.
shit to shit. They've had way worse coaches. Romeo Crennel. Fucking Hugh Jackson. Remember Pettin? Mike Pettin?
Oh my
that
God.
guy is the definition of how the fuck did you get a job?
Yeah, well,
Mike Pettin is the definition of whose sex tape do you have that you landed that job? That's what Mike Pettin
Bro.
was and is.
I'll do you one better. Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens. Hillbilly moment.
Bum.
What the fuck?
but hey, Belichick, Bill Belichick.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't Bill that we know. So no. Imagine
He
they were
got
the
them to the
Browns. They had
playoffs.
Bill. That's like us getting Don Shula as our head coach and him not winning a playoff game ever. That's the comp. That's how shit the Browns have been since their last division title. So I know we give the Lions a lot of shit, and they're definitely number 2 on this list, but number 1 is 100% the Cleveland shit on Browns. Okay? Can we all agree?
You made a good point about at least Lions fans being able to watch Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. Who's been the best player of the Cleveland Browns in the past 33 years? Probably Joe Thomas.
No,
an
no,
offensive
the
lineman.
fullback, white boy.
Oh, Peyton
Hillis?
Hillis.
Peyton Hillis,
Jesus
baby.
Christ.
He made the fucking cover of
He
Madden.
did. I remember that. It was voted on Sports Nation. Remember that show? That was actually a true story. But yeah, like at least the Lions have had that. and the Browns have had basically a cavalcade of quarterbacks, of just terrible quarterbacks. It could be on this like island of misfit toys could be the quarterbacks that they've had. So those are points I didn't think of. I think it's clearly the Browns. I'll give you that.
All right. I'm glad we all agree on what shit and manure is. Congratulations. That was a very successful segment. Oh my God.